Aloha, everybody, and welcome back. We're gonna check out Patrick David and Andrew Callaghan. This is Callaghan. Infiltrated and takedown. He's from at Channel 5 YouTube. Exposes the FBI's war on activists. This is gonna be a little bit how I talk about left versus right and how liberals aren't the left and Democrats aren't the left. Let's check it out.
I would not describe the Democrats who control California as leftists or progressives.
What you said about our left party. We don't have a left party in the United States. The Democratic Party is not a left party.
What would you call them?
Liberals, Democrats.
Liberals and Democrats?
I think it's different.
So what's the difference?
I think liberals are more oriented in maintaining power for themselves.
Let's see about wanting to keep power.
See, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself in the manner in which I talked about it. But what happened was they said, come back when you're 40, son.
And so, yes, liberal Democrats are not leftist in any way, shape, or form.
Liberals, Democrats.
Liberals and Democrats?
I think it's different.
So what's the difference?
I think liberals are more oriented in maintaining power for themselves, dominating the political landscape of the state.
You don't think leftists are?
I don't think leftists have any semblance of political power in the U.S.
Why do you think?
Let AOC tell you.
The Democratic Party is not a left party. The Democratic Party is a center or center conservative party.
Leftists are?
I don't think leftists have any semblance of political power in the U.S.
Why do you think?
I just think they've been disenfranchised by the liberal establishment, the Democratic establishment. I think progressive people's movements. Also, if you look at, there's been over a half a century plus of infiltration of these organizations by the FBI, breaking them down. And we're not just talking about communists and far left stuff here. We're talking about people's organizations, Black Panthers, Brown Berets, American Indian Movement,
Black Panthers were communists. They were open communists. So, I mean,
workers' unions, environmental groups. They were all infiltrated and taken down by the government. And so you have the Democratic establishment claiming to be a progressive organization, but I do not think that they are.
So,
Exactly.
it makes me think. Anthony Scaramucci said something very interesting the other day. Actually, very interesting. He said, a guy, the way the U.S. System is set up is, guy said, I'm going to go be a Congress because I think I can make some changes. And you realize you can't do shit. I'm going to go be a senator because that's where the power is. I can make some changes. You can't do shit. I'm going to go be president because, you can't do shit. So the American system is built that somebody can't. So even if the leftists that you think could change something, if they get in, they still have to go through the other people that if you give the money to them.
A certain sentiment about true believers. And there are a lot of true believers that we can capitalism our way out of poverty. In the Democratic Party. If anything, that's probably the majority.
Right.
And that's an area in which I agree with Dr. King that assessment is flawed.
but does she still agree with that assessment? She don't act like it. Baby Bear more agrees with Mama Bear eating her chocolate ice cream. So I don't think PBD is quite as well informed as Kyle Kalinske is. So he may not know certain things. So I'm not going to say that he's quite as shady. He's just kind of misinformed. Kyle Kalinske, he knows that he's misleading people. But from on the PBD thing, here we go.
3/4 of all money given Senate races, House races, presidential race, everything, 3/4 of it comes from less than 1% of the American people. 3/4 of it comes from less than 1% of the American people.
So we just went over that in the video last time. Who do you think that the government is going to do things for if all the money, 3/4 of the money comes from 1% of the people?
This flat line only accounts for the bottom 90% of income earners in America. Economic elites, business interests, people who can afford lobbyists, they get their own line. Look at how much closer their line is to the ideal. When they want something, the government is much more likely to do it. And when they don't, they have the power to completely block it from happening, no matter how much the rest of the country supports it. They get what they want.
These are people who give, this is the way the statistics are set up, $200 or more into the election. Less than 1% of Americans, good bit less than 1%, give $200 or more, and that makes up 3/4 of all the money. So right away you can see that the 99% of us who don't have that kind of money to give $200 or more, we're kind of out of it. We're not relevant to the
Yeah, we got a
money
separate
raising.
line.
And by the way, the estimate this year is that the money raised for this election will be a record in excess of $11 billion.
Just that being said, $11 billion, and then Kamala Harris bringing in like $2 billion in like 3 months or less or something. If that money was given to the Green Party, we would do a lot of stuff in society. Whether we won elections or not, we would do a lot for like schools, kids, elderly. We would build things. We would just do a lot of things like permaculture, go to like I said, schools, like teach all kinds of stuff. We would use that money not to just advertise. We would use that money to collectively bargain the will of the people and do the things that the people want done.
With a B. I'm going to come back. I then looked at the tiny number, 1/100th of 1%. So we're not talking about the top 1%. We're talking about the top 0.001%. I'm sorry, 0.01%.
Yeah, I was wondering. He said point. Oh, I was like, hold on, wait. But then he corrected himself.
The top people, these are folks who give $10,000 or more to the political process. This year, it's roughly 44,000 people, and they are giving roughly 1/3 of the money. But now we're getting to the people who give 1/3, one out of every $3 to the politicians, are people who can give $10,000 or more, and obviously most of you, like me, can't do that. And then here's the last number I thought you'd be interested in. The United Kingdom, I'm comparing the United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States. Their last national elections. Okay? The last one in the United States, 2016, when Mr. Trump won and defeated Hillary Clinton. The last national election in Canada was a year before, 2015, and the last national election in the United Kingdom was in 2017. So I'm now going to tell you how much money was donated in each of these 3 countries. Start with the United Kingdom, the most recent, 2017. They spent, ready, $50 million.
Million.
Canada, 2015. They spent $90 million. The
Million.
United States, between those 2 years, 2016, spent, ready, $1,450 million on their national
It's a
election.
bit of money.
We are not even close. We spend more than ever. We have, therefore, the honor to say we have the best government money can buy.
I find it kind of strange because people like Patrick Bet David here, he knows that we have the best government money can buy. He knows that these rich people are buying our government. I think he does. Like I think he knows that. But he knows the Democrats and Republicans are both a corporate-run party, corporate-funded party. If we want something different, we need regular people to join a party and to build a party. We need that Bernie Sanders action, that Barack Obama movement, that left wing, that populist, even that Trump populism. His was faux, his was fake. Like he's not really a populist, but his people are the people that follow him. They want to be, but then they follow him to a T. But anyway, beyond that, for people to have a say, we need to join a people party. All you people out there talking about the Democrats, they're on that 30% line that you get 30% of what you want, and it's not even the good stuff. It's not universal health care. It's not a higher minimum wage. And see, if they would have, that'd have been a better thing if they would have done a line that said something like, when the people want it the most, what they get, because like we want universal health care the most. We want a higher minimum wage the most. We want, say, probably like something done with homelessness, something done with food deserts, things like that. We want actual populist people things, right? And those are the things that are the 0% that the rich people want that don't get done for us. But the 30% of the stuff that we want done, I bet it's more on the lower side. The stuff that we want a little bit of, the middle side of, we get some. But like it's just not cool or whatever. Like they run us and he acts like they don't. But let's keep going.
Anthony Scaramucci said something very interesting the other day. Actually, very interesting. He said, a guy, the way the U.S. System is set up is, guy said, I'm going to go be Congress because I think I can make some changes. And you realize you can't do shit. I'm going to go be a senator because that's where the power is. I can make some changes.
Joe Biden said he's going to go to be a prostitute and make some money.
And you can't do shit. I'm going to go be president because, you can't do shit. So the American system is built that somebody can't. So even if the leftists that you think could change something, if they get in, they still have to go through the other people that if you give the money to them, it's not like they're going to personally go count the money and do something good with it.
Yeah.
Why not? If you get the leftists in, you get a good amount of governors. Say Butch Ware, we got a governor running out here in Hawaii, in New York. I know there's at least 3 that are actually fairly strong. But we get, say, 10 governors and then 10, 12 senators, 20 senators, or maybe 10 senators, and say like 20 House of Representatives. Now we start having power. Now we got people who are in Washington that can send money to states. We got people in states who can do stuff with the money. And then, if we got that many people, we're going to have people down ballot. We're going to have like state representatives, and we're going to have like local boards and things like that where we can do some stuff.
The money is still going to go to these institutions that's ran by people that have been there for decades.
But that's the whole thing about the Green Party, is that we are not going to go to these institutions that have been running everything for decades because we're against that. We are the difference. We aren't the Democrats. The Democrats, yes. If you go through the Democratic Party, you will go to Nancy Pelosi's chocolate ice cream events and things like that. That's just what it is. If you want something different, do something different.
Yeah, you can't do nothing about that.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing. And
You can do something about that. You just got to go outside of the norm. You got to think outside of the box a little bit. It's not even that far thinking outside of the box to go to a third party. That's how we ended slavery.
Back to the Luigi Mangione thing, when you talk about this deeply entrenched bureaucracy that's halting change, that kind of thing makes sense.
You know what it makes me think about, though? It makes me think about what would you trust more, a bigger government or a smaller government?
Small.
A government that works. But a small government, why would you want a small government? If your government works, you would want a big government. But the thing is, you should work within your government. Everybody out there, no matter who you are, should run for office. I'm a little bit older. This is my first time running for office. I'm not older. I'm 45. But for your first time for doing something, it's a little bit older, right? We should all run for office once to 5 times in our life. Like maybe once when we're young, maybe once in the middle. But just to do stuff and to show that regular people can and should be there, and hopefully we do vote each other in sometimes, right? Like we want mechanics, grocery store workers, concrete workers. Like if you have, like, our roads crack, you got potholes wherever you live. Do you got potholes? If you do, would you not want a construction worker, a road worker to be in office every now and then, no matter really what state they're from? You get a couple here, a couple there, and you got some farmers from other places, whatever. You got people from all around that do different things, and people have an understanding. Again, Donald Trump was born with so much money, this dude could file for bankruptcy 6 times and not lose any, and still be a billionaire. Still have people think that he runs businesses so well, they want him to run the country like his businesses that he had 6 bankruptcies on. He lost a casino. Like, how are you going to bankrupt a casino? That is something that the House never lose the House never loses unless Donald Trump owns the House. That's crazy. But now he owns the House of the U.S. or the U.S. House, whatever you want to call it. But anyway.
Yeah.
Small but effective in actually working for the people.
So small government means more money stays
But see, if it's working for the people, why wouldn't you want a bigger government?
with you and I. Leave it in the market. I trust you knowing better what to do with the money with $1 million than the government.
Yeah.
So then, why not have him be part of the government? The whole thing is that people need to participate. The government should be a participatory thing. And one of the things, actually, now this is the first time I've had this thought. The schools should be a thing that teach people how to do, learn math, science, all that stuff, but also learn about the government, and that teaches you should run for government. We should prepare all our kids to understand that you're going to have a job, a regular job. Some of you might be all-stars and some might be pro players or whatever, but most of us are going to be regular people, but all of us need to participate in this thing we call government, and we need to run, and we need regular people that understand everyday lives to make everyday life decisions.
I trust you instead of paying 45% of, let's just say you made $1 million last year.
So if you trust that guy, put that guy in the government and then give him 45% there.
45% went to taxes. You kept 550. How many more jobs would you have had if that was only 20%?
Yeah.
And you would have kept that $250,000. What realistically? Let's just say you had an additional 250 last year of tax saving. What would you have done with the 250?
Hired more employees, been able to, expand the newsroom at a quicker pace. We expanded to the Middle East and in Mexico and elsewhere as well, the UK and New Zealand. Would have been able to do that a little bit faster. I was still able to do it, but definitely it's there's not quite a sting like getting an invoice from the IRS after working your ass off for an entire year. And like I said, that sting wouldn't be as bad if they were using the money well. I mean, if
they were using the money well. If you make a lot of money, he's working for this news station. If he paid the government taxes, but then we have these really nice schools and he could get these really nice employees that already understand a lot of stuff and can do a lot of technical things and whatever news people need, yeah, that'd be great. And then you would want a nice sized, strong government if they were doing things for the people and being a government. A government is supposed to represent the people and be for the people. So we need people that are just people in the government to do that. Because Donald Trump's, Joe Biden's, Nancy Pelosi's, Bill Clinton, or the Clintons, all these people, they don't care about us. They care about themselves. They are the elite, and that's all they really care about.
I was living in a world where there was no traffic, where people were happy, and there wasn't this massive, working class despair taking over. You could feel it in the air in California and elsewhere in the entire country. If that didn't exist,
but see, he's saying that like if you talk to rich people, they wouldn't care about the working class despair, right? The amount of difference. So if you tax a lot of rich people, they wouldn't say the same thing. But like what he's saying, and if the government worked, most regular people would be cool with paying taxes.
I would probably be okay with a higher tax rate because I would say, okay, well, I don't have to. People at large, the community, this American experiment is progressing in a mutually beneficial way.
Yeah, but if they were efficient, they wouldn't need to tax us more. You get what I'm saying?
If they were efficient, you'd want them to tax us more. You'd want them to do more. The more efficient, the more, like he says, oh, I think business is more efficient than the government, so I don't want to be taxed. I want to give my money to business. And you just exactly said, you just contradicted yourself so much. If they were more efficient, they wouldn't need more money. The more efficient they are, the more money you give them, because the more better they're doing. It's a total contradiction.
Like if there wasn't such bureaucracy in the government and the IRS.
Yeah, and so bless you. So, but to me, it's also deeper than that. Think about it. Like, let's just say I got 5 C-suites that are working for me: a CMO, chief marketing officer, CFO, CTO technology, chief strategy officer, and chief compliance officer.
Paying people big money.
We have a meeting at the end of the year. What's your budget? My budget is $5 million. My budget is $4 million. My budget is $3 million. My budget is $10 million. Great. If a guy at the end of the year had a $5 million budget, but ended up hitting his budget for the year and the BHAG, but they did it on 80% of the budget. So they didn't spend $5 million. He spent $4 million.
Give that man more money.
Dude, good job. Yeah. Right? You saved the company 20% of your budget. But if a guy that had a $10 million budget doesn't hit his goal, but asks for $15 million and spends $15 million, you don't have credibility.
Yeah.
So it's that simple that for me.
Well, then wouldn't you just either demote that guy or fire that guy? Maybe not fire him, but like at least demote him or get a new manager of the money?
I would much rather take more power away from them because they don't have a track record of getting good things done.
Yeah.
But get people who have a track record to get things done in the government. Vote these people in and encourage these people to do things. But not just that. Get regular people in, because we have a track record of people who are like legacy people who have been doing this for all their lives. The Bush boys, the Clinton people, the Trumps have always been rich. Like, all these people have always been the elite, and then they stay the elite, and they run our society into the ground. We need regular people to join the Green Party, DSA, whatever party that is not one of the duopoly. And you guys keep getting mad at me for talking about libertarians. Hey, right wingers are people too, but would you rather people be in the Libertarian Party or the Republican Party? I'd rather them be in the Libertarian Party, but hey.
They keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger. At what expense? So that's the part where I think a part of
At the expense of
why
us.
Kennedy and Trump are so hated.
It's the parties.
Is because the one thing those two have in common
Oh my God.
is the establishment couldn't stand these guys because they couldn't control them. What do they have in common?
He is such a Trump sycophant, a liar about Trump. Trump is the establishment. The first debate, he got on stage and said he donated to everybody on that stage, and they all do him favors. You got pictures of him with Hillary Clinton, and for years the Clintons, his kids grew up with them. They know each other. You got him with Barack Obama at Jimmy Carter's funeral, yucking it up. Trump has been rich since he wasn't. His grandfather was rich. Before Trump was even a thing, his grandfather was thinking about grandkids, maybe. But look, Trump had made it before Trump. He is establishment. That is so upsetting and just weird that these right wingers call Trump some anti-establishment person.
They both have money, and they both had the ears of who?
Yeah.
Some of the most powerful people in Hollywood, and they liked them.
Yeah.
Trump on the right, Kennedy on the left.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like that.
And Kennedy was pretty establishment too. His people got rich in the whenever Prohibition was. I think it was the 30s or so. But his family was illegal, selling illegal alcohol, and then they legalized the alcohol, and his family got to be rich from that and make a lot of money from alcohol. But they're straight establishment. These people are so goofy on the right.
That relationship where they were both hated. CIA, FBI, the Fed. Who the hell are these guys? Trump's not getting along with the Fed. Kennedy didn't get along with the Fed. There's some of those
Trump doesn't get along with money. 6 bankruptcies.
commonalities where now the flip side of it, guess what Trump and his camp have to do? If they don't produce results, guess what happens?
What?
Nothing.
Oh, the other side's going to come out and say, you had him. What did they do? Nothing.
And that's kind of where I'm at as well. Like, I'm obviously not a really a big Trump guy, but if positive things happen for the country during the Trump term in these next 4 years, I'm going to report on that. I'm not dedicated to making Trump.
I know
bad.
you are. No,
You know what I mean?
I
So,
know,
like,
I know
if-
you are. Yeah.
Orange man
If
bad.
great things start happening, it's not like I'm going to look for an alternate angle that undermines the success. I'm just looking at how average people are living every day, happiness and, fulfillment.
Very cool. Nowadays, more than ever, the brand
Nowadays, all right, he's on the selling stuff. But there you go, man. Just trying to help everybody understand that the difference in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is not that great. They work together. They work in tandem. They are both fascist parties. They're not going to help us as people. They work for the corporations. Look into the Green Party, the DSA. If you're far right, Libertarian Party, PSL, all kinds of things. And just keep looking across the spectrum.